Hello, Edwin. Hola Manuel. ¿Qué onda? How's everybody? Welcome. Diego, ¿qué onda? ¿Cómo estás, man? Bienvenido. Erika, ¿qué onda? El stream de hoy, estoy empezando otra colaboración con Óscar, Vas de Sculpt, pero para esta vez decidimos que en lugar de trabajarlo parte por parte como habíamos estado haciendo, que originalmente teníamos separado todo el diseño como en secciones y cada quien trabajaba una sección, lo que decidimos hacer ahora para esta vez fue más como un freestyle. Entonces vamos a estar trabajando ambos sobre el mismo sculpt y vamos viendo qué va saliendo. La verdad es que no hay un tema, no hay un diseño. Simplemente freestylearle a ver qué sale. So I was just telling, like, just a quick reminder. This is my English stream. So I will be talking mostly in English, but you guys feel free to comment in Spanish if it's better for you. It's really okay by me. I'll just be talking in English mostly, so hope that's not a problem. And I was just talking that this time I don't really have like a theme or we don't have an idea or a theme or whatever, and we're just gonna freestyle this whole thing to just find an interesting design and just go with it. And just for the pure joy of sculpting something, like it's been a real long time since I had the chance to just freestyle something because of work and other reasons, so I look forward a lot for tonight's session to just sculpt and not have to worry about anything else. So right now I'm with it's a very rough design, just trying to find shapes, interesting shapes, as always. Sculptors Pro mode. Estaría bueno, me late la idea. Pero aún no pasa. De hecho, está peligrosón. Aún puede quedarse en la ronda de grupos. Si se dan las circunstancias adecuadas, México no pasa, pero vamos a esperar que sí. Yo confío en que sí. Vamos a ver qué criatura podría estar buena para hacer. ¿Qué onda, Alex? Saludos. Ya tiene rato que no cotorreaba contigo. Gracias por darte una vuelta, men. ¿Cómo va todo? A ver, déjenme ver qué podríamos hacer. ¿Qué pasó, Machín? ¿Cómo andas, men? Sí vi vi tu post. Mucha suerte, men. No va a poder estar ahí, pero espero checarla después, igual y mañana. Nada, seguro te va a ir súper bien, man. No te preocupes. Dale, dale. Suerte. Okay, so I got the suggestion to pick like an Aztec or Mayan character, deity or something to celebrate that Mexico is almost in the next round of the World Cup. I like the idea. I'm just thinking what deity could I do? These things are pretty complicated. ¿Qué pasó, Machín? ¿Qué andas haciendo? I think I'll save the suggestion for another time because I was looking at some of the designs are pretty complicated and elaborate, and it's really something I would like to do with more care. So for this time, for now, I'm just gonna go with the flow, see what happens. Just trying to find something interesting to work with and go from there. So also lately I've been noticing that I tend to do a lot of the same shapes over and over again. It's like, I don't know, something my brain goes to all the time. I'll try to I don't know, don't fall in the same things again. Maybe, I don't know. Hey Mariano, what's up, man? Glad to see you here, bro. So I'm starting a new collab with Óscar today. Just gonna freestyle, see what happens. So usually what we did the previous two was we divided a body, a design into different pieces, like the head and the torso, upper torso, lower torso, arms, legs, and so on. And we just like assign the different sections to each of us and just work on those sections. But for this time, we decided to just go with the flow, freestyle it, and work on the same model, both of us, just see what happens. So let's see what happens. There's really no plan for today. I've really missed just sculpting something for the fun of it. So I decided to do that. Thanks, bro. Really appreciate it. How are things back in Toronto? Hello, macaco brasileiro. What's up? Tudo bom? I can understand a little bit of Portuguese. Oh, yeah, sorry. Puedo entender un poco de portugués. No mucho, pero algo. I was thinking for the eyes of this guy, just going like a sunken hole, not really eyes. Juan Manuel, desde la universidad empecé a aprender, tuve un par de clases de ZBrush y después pues básicamente por mi cuenta, moviéndole al programa y viendo videos en YouTube, uno que otro tutorial, pues así. Realmente es un programa muy sencillo de usar después de un rato. ¿Manolo? ¿Qué Manolo? No entiendo. I know a lot of you guys are from Spanish-speaking countries. Just a reminder that this is my English stream, so I'll be talking mostly in English. But feel free to ask questions in Spanish. It's okay. Like I like it, and it always ends up being a bilingual stream. So anyway, which is really cool. also, I decided to just use the Sculptris Pro for this one. So no subdivisions, no Dynamesh, just any detailing that I would do, it's all gonna be done on the same mesh. ¿Especializarte en qué, man? Yo opino, bueno, en general yo opino que eso es una buena idea, si desde antes de terminar la carrera, porque en las carreras, pues usualmente te preparan como generalista, pero si desde antes identificas una parte que te gusta más, pues definitivamente conviene más, ¿no? Porque entonces cuando salgas ya tienes un enfoque más, sí, como hacia cierta área. Hey, Zepcas, buenas. ¿Qué onda? Pues sí, yo opino que es una buena idea buscar una especialización, pero igual, de todos modos, no, una especialización no significa como limitarse, porque nunca sabes de dónde pueda venir el trabajo también. Entonces, aunque sí busca una especialización, también trata de mantener como las puertas abiertas a diferentes cosas que tal vez no hayas considerado antes. You never know. What is this song, man? Nice. I want this thing to look oddly human, I think, without it really being human. I don't even know what I'm doing here. you. That you guys like it. ¿Qué onda, Erika? Depende mucho de cómo estés trabajando el modelo. ¿Estás usando subdivisión tradicional? O sea, ¿estás comenzando a partir de un base mesh? ¿O estás haciendo Dynamesh o Sculptris Pro? ¿Qué onda, Sebas? No, Zcast, perdón. No, en este caso, en esta vez no estoy usando ninguna referencia, simplemente estoy freestyleando a ver qué sale. Tenía rato que no hacía nada por el estilo y tenía ganas. Just go with the flow. Sometimes I just change some areas. The area I'm working on just to work on some other part because, like I said, it's just trying to make this thing flow. At this point, I don't really care that much. Decimation Master, not so much. Like Decimation Master I would use mostly for optimizing models when I'm doing production, because usually when I'm just like sculpting something, it's usually much easier to just use Sculptris Pro or even Dynamesh to fix any issues. Like Decimation, in my case, me personally, I would just use it to optimize things when I'm exporting things for production. But I usually, it depends on what exactly I need, but I usually just go with a 20% decimation standard. Like if I don't need something really specific, I just go with that. Yeah, it does a little bit. It depends a lot also on your computer. Like mine can handle a little bit more than that, almost the million or even more, I think. So in that case, you can like try. If it depends, like if you have some, for example, like clothing or armor or stuff like that, covering different pieces of the model, to separate the sections is usually a good idea, and just have them individually, or just in that case, like if that part is finished and you're not actually like going to change the shape a lot, it's usually a good idea to just oh my god, this song to just ZBrush things and reproject the detail and just have it with subdivisions if it's not going to change the shape a lot. It's usually a good idea. making this part bonier. Hey Justin, I don't know what this thing is. It's just like a creature thing. Um, just freestyling it, going with the flow, you know. Not really trying something crazy or anything. So these things sometimes happen when I'm unable to go back to. Oh, there it is. Sometimes it just fixes itself. But the Sculptors Pro is tricky. Erika, lo que pasa con las C-Spheres, el problema con las C-Spheres, está bien. De hecho, ese es el workflow que yo recomendaba cuando a mis alumnos. Comenzar con C-Spheres, trabajar una estructura básica bastante rápido y después pasar a Dynamesh. Solamente checa que entonces el Dynamesh lo que hace es te pone toda la resolución pareja. Entonces no deberías tener problema con eso. Checa bien qué es lo que está pasando. Si ya pasaste a Dynamesh y aún te falta resolución, entonces vuelve a hacer un remesh con más con el mismo Dynamesh, con los mismos settings o incluso con más resolución dependiendo qué es lo que necesites. Porque puede ser que te esté faltando ahí a lo mejor para lo que quieras hacer. ¿Qué onda, Vladimir? ¿Cómo andas, men? Saludos. Igualmente a Meli. Qué gusto verlos por acá. Tiene rato. Nikoru, is it difficult to find a job in video games in Mexico? It depends on... I would say it depends. I worked in video games before, and so did my roommate. Like my roommate here, actually, my current roommate here in Montreal. We met in Mexico when we worked at a studio in video games, and it's really cool that he also found a job here in Montreal. So we were roomies back in Mexico once, and roomies back here in Montreal again. I would say it's not that hard. You just have to be really consistent with the quality and be also open to maybe not AAA projects, because it's like there's some studios that do work on that stuff. Like the studio we used to work on, we had some big clients. It was an outsourcing studio, so we got to work on like big games and big franchises. But it's usually not super common, and there's actually not AAA productions in Mexico. But it's possible, like for sure it's possible. Just it really depends on if it's like, especially like there's a lot of mobile stuff and web, but for consoles or PC and stuff like that, it's usually not super common. And Jaggle Bones for Retopo, I prefer to use Quattro in Maya. For a while, I used actually the topology brush in ZBrush. It's pretty cool, especially for like not having to go outside of the software to do some other stuff. But since like usually when I'm doing retopoids for production and the main pipeline is been done in Maya, so it's just easier to also use that. And Topogon, I also used it for a while, but right now Quadro in Maya is the one I like. It's really useful and fast for me. This guy's gonna have weird eyes. ¿Qué onda, Fairiel? Actualmente no estoy dando clases. Estuve dando clases en una universidad en México poco más de 2 años, alrededor de 2 años más o menos. Entonces, actualmente, bueno, cuando me refiero a mis alumnos, a veces es son realmente mis ex alumnos ya, pero muchas veces el stream me recuerda mucho esos días porque, pues de cierta forma, luego hay como las mismas dudas y los mismos problemas que solía ver en el salón de clases, los vuelvo a ver con mucha gente, entonces por eso a veces me recuerda. Pero actualmente no estoy dando clases, ando super full con el trabajo, pero en el futuro no lo descarto de nuevo, me gusta mucho de hecho. So I was just telling him that I used to be a teacher for over like 2 years in Mexico, and sculpting and the streaming, like it reminds me a lot of that because of the talking with you guys and sharing things, the workflow and stuff. It's really fun. I'm sorry, Macaco. I'm having a lot of hard times understanding what you're writing. Sorry. So I'm thinking, I don't know if it's not noticeable right now, but I was thinking of something like having this be the shoulder part, this right here, and then having like a really small really small arm, and this would be the elbow, and then the forearm, some of the wrists, and this would be like the hands with a really long finger. I don't know, I just like the idea of seeing shapes, organic shapes, just reminding me of stuff without actually being that. Like, I don't know. I think it's really fun to just sometimes explore the form and the shape, just for the sake of it. So yeah, this is like a weird shoulder thing. Gracias, Erika y Fairiel. Sí, mucha gente me lo ha pedido y la verdad me haría mucho gusto, pero la verdad es que en estos momentos, al menos en estos próximos meses, lo dudo. Pero quién sabe, puede ser. Hey Nick, yeah, something like that. I like it. Like sometimes you just want to sculpt, you know? It's been a while since I did so. Because my job have a lot of texturing and shading work lately, so sculpting has been minimum. That's why I love the streams so much. And I used to tell my students that I love creatures for the reason that they're always like combination between animals, humans, and almost anything else. Like a creature can be anything with some very basic like anatomical references. Could remind you of a human or of an animal, and you can basically play with shapes and forms and all that sort of stuff. Really cool. So I really like that. Also, like I usually also like to sculpt a little bit more aggressive. I don't know, like going crazier sometimes with the shapes and then dial it back. But for this one, I'm enjoying the more sober approach to just take the time. Hey Nick, yeah, pretty much. Just not thinking about it too much, just enough to have something like coherent. But yeah, it's basically just make it up as I go. It's be like a finger thing. And I love Sculptris mode because of how easy it is to just do this kind of stuff. is what's really cool about the sculpt trees. I don't really have to worry about the rest of the model. Just work on the part that I want to work in. I know this may sound weird, but I've been eating a lot of chicken lately, and I really like the bone and meat structure of the wing and the thigh and legs. So I've like been paying attention to how that's built, and it's really interesting. So I don't know, this reminded me like of a chicken wing all of a sudden. Maybe, who knows? Diego, algún libro así tal cual que yo sepa no, pero la documentación oficial está en, bueno, en ZBrush Docs, puedes verla, ahí está como guía de todo el programa, pero si buscas más como en forma de tutorial y esas cosas, está el Classroom, sí, Classroom creo que se llama, con videos, y pues el canal oficial, están los streamers, y está el Ask ZBrush. O sea, una guía tal cual, tal vez así no exista, pero sí existe un montón de material. Cosa nada más es buscarle. Create some holes here to open up some more space, because this was starting to look really crammed. To help me define this shape here. Let's change the expression a little bit. I want the eyes to be droopier, a little bit more sad and like, yeah. Whoops. Qu'est-ce qui se passe here? rather plain here, so right now I'm thinking about the face. It's a little bit tricky because trying to find something interesting that works without it being too obvious, and also not go too human-ish. Like something still relatable, but not exactly human. So I'm doing the chin here. Sort of. I just have to fix this. This is interesting because if you can see here, I just took the... I'm gonna save before this. To avoid any potential catastrophes. What? Okay. Yeah, so I was saying like earlier, I just took like the clay build-up and just scraped to the surface like this, just to create space. And what I really like also about this type of workflow is that sometimes interesting things happen, and sometimes you get interesting shapes, and sometimes it's really cool to just follow them, see what they bring. Like I really like that, doing that, because it adds a little bit more of a natural feel to it. Stuff like this. So that's also like something that I sometimes recommend doing if you get some happy accidents. Just follow them. Shoutouts to the great Bob Ross and his happy accidents. So yeah, just follow these happy accidents and just try and figure out what to do with the hole here. I think it looks alright. Maybe I'll unify this part a little bit. just to not feel like a chunk of meat is missing or something. I lost the symmetry there for a while. Don't know what happened, but it's all good. Hey Alejandro, ¿qué onda? Sachin, welcome guys. Hey Audrey, what's up? Nice to see you here. Glad you guys joined me. How's it going? So yeah, I think I just finished this section here. For now, I might just come back again later. But for now, I think it works. And also, like I always like to use the dam standard to cut deeper in some areas here. To just get like deeper with cuts there. Let's finish this finger thing here. Just stressing the separation here a little bit more. And since like the flesh here is it's on top of the rib cage, I'm just going to create more volume to like just make it pop out a little bit more. I think I'll have to reduce this part a little bit. Just going to try and stretch this a little bit more. Gonna go again here to fully indicate the separation, that it's not the same surface, like here, what did I do? So for this one, I'm just gonna give it a little bit more volume because it's too flat here. And I'm just gonna try to not inflate this, but give it a little bit more volume here. So it actually looks like a forearm a little bit more. It's this one that I need to mark a little bit more. For it to actually look like a fold. There you go, and now it looks like a fold. Yeah. Ricardo, ¿qué recomiendas para crear una buena anatomía? Un abrazo, gracias igualmente, men. Pues es que depende, o sea, proporción y buena definición de las formas, porque buena anatomía pues depende mucho en qué contexto, si es estilizado, si es completamente realista o si es una criatura o algo así, pero pues siempre referencias y que tengan como cierta no sé, como equivalencia o correspondencia con algo en el mundo real. Pero es que tu pregunta también es un poco muy general, como muy abierta. Igual y una pregunta un poco más específica, si, o sea, si tienes, no sé, problemas en específico con algunos músculos o con alguna zona del cuerpo, igual y te puedo ayudar más fácil, pero pues estudiar también, o sea, tener referencias y estudiar es la única forma de tener una buena anatomía. I'm still not super sure about what to do with the back here. I'm not sure if I like this hunchback look. I think I don't. I think I prefer like a little bit slimmer. also like I also like to do sometimes this of checking the silhouette, see how it's working. And I'm not really liking the neck here, so I'll try to change that. I like the slimmest aspect that he has, like really thin. The trapeces are too big from the front. But I kinda don't mind. I like it. Sometimes I change for accident my keyboard to French, and since the French keyboard has the C key, like the Z key on top, so it's no longer possible to do the Control C, Control set. I don't know how to pronounce it in English. Yo, what up, man? What's going on? So it's like the ear thing. Kinda work free me? What is that? Pardon my ignorance. I like the ceremonious nature of this thing. Like it could be like a statue in an alien altar or something. I like this idea. Just gonna close the head a little bit. Check that this is correctly positioned. Yeah, I like this position much more. Warframe? I'll have to check it out. I don't know the game. Yeah, it's really common to find stuff that's similar everywhere. Like, there's really nothing new under the sun, and inspiration can come from many different sources, and so it's actually really difficult to find something completely original. But it's okay, like, happens all the time. I'll check it out. I'll check the game out. Thanks, man. Okay, I actually used Blender for a while, and I'm just gonna say this straight up. Like, Blender sculpting sucks. It's compared to ZBrush, it's not even close. In other areas like animation, modeling is pretty good. UVs are pretty good. Animation is also pretty good. But like, I imagine you're asking for sculpting. I would say it's completely different. The way ZBrush works is unlike any other software. So I would just say just try to focus on the ZBrush way, not think too much on the how to translate what you know from Blender here, because it might not work. You have more brushes. The way I don't know, the way that the program is constructed with the tool palette here in the right side, all the menus here. I would say like the sculpting part of it is pretty much the same. You know how to use volumes and shapes and anatomy and stuff like that. It's gonna be the same. It's just how the software works. So you're just gonna have to adapt and relearn from scratch. But I think that's a good thing, because I would say ZBrush has one of the steepest learning curves when you're beginning, but it's one of the easiest programs to use once you've already learned how to use it. Like if like you could imagine, so for you guys the curve would be like this. In the beginning the learning curve is super high, super steep, and then it just goes flat after a while. Like, it's super easy, but you have to pass this initial barrier first, and after that it's just like walking the park. Just be consistent with in the beginning and you should be fine. No, I haven't. I really want to. So Oscar, he recently bought like a VR set, and I'm going to Mexico for holidays very soon, like in 2 weeks. So I might try it with him, like go to his place and try the VR sculpting, because I'm really interested in that. I've tried VR before for like, it was like a weird app with some neon lights and weird lines you could create, but actually not sculpting, and I'm really curious how it changes. I would imagine like the appreciation of seeing your model actually like in an environment would be pretty amazing. So like, I like the happy accident here. I'm just gonna go with it. Hey Corey, will I add triceps? I don't know. Good question. I haven't think of the triceps yet. I might add something that resembles a tricep, I just haven't gotten around to that area yet, but I might do it. Yeah, exactly. Like being able to walk around it, it's pretty cool. I think it must be like really uncanny to see like an actual volume for the first time. Yeah, who doesn't, man? It must be pretty cool. Do you have a VR set? Don't we all? Yeah, actually, my computer has it's VR ready and the graphic card supports it. I just don't have the money for that right now. And I want to try it first to see if it's actually worth it. Like I know I've seen some awesome stuff by artists like Gio and Dominic, um, and what Oscar has been doing is also really cool. But it might not be for everybody. It's like for some people, how they work better with like a Cintiq, and some other people prefer like the traditional tablet. I think it's a little bit of the same thing. It might not be for everybody. I might actually not like it, so who knows? I just want to try it first. I don't have a PS4. Yeah, but I've actually also heard that that thing is actually pretty good. And there's also for like for cell phones some VR things. I don't know if there's like sculpting apps for that. I honestly, like in the beginning, I thought like the VR thing was gonna be like a fad, mainly because the accessibility of it. You have to buy the headset and all the equipment, and you have like a good computer for that. So I used to think it wasn't gonna happen, but or like it was not gonna last very long, but it has. So that's pretty cool. Ah, yeah, I know the cardboard thing. That's true. The feelers? What is that, man? Oh, I need the Sculpt Pro here. I was thinking of adding like a second finger, maybe a little bit in the back. But I'm not sure yet. I think it's fine for now, just like a wing or something here. Like how birds have this only like one really long finger. Something like that. I haven't seen them. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry, man, but I'll check it out. Or like, could you send me like an image of them just to see them right now? I just noticed like if I flip this thing upside down or from the side, it kind of looks like the what's the name of this thing? Like the hogger thing from Alien. So that's good, I think. I like I said, like this thing has been really inspired by chicken. Makes me hungry actually. This creature is brought to you by some chicken wings. Hello Leslie, Dinesh, welcome guys. How's it going? What is that auto hosting? I'm so out of touch with everything. Oh, that's pretty cool. Wow. I didn't know that, man. I have a lot to learn with Twitch. That's pretty cool. Thank you so much, man. Oh, that's awesome. I think I'm gonna do that. And does that notify your like your followers, or just when you go live? That's a pretty cool feature. Really? Wow. Yeah, it's actually not my channel, but it's the official Pixelogic channel. So what we do is just if you go to ZBrushLive.com, you can see a calendar of all the streamers. And it's a pretty big roster. you have like we have streams in mostly in English, but we also do some Spanish. I do some Spanish streams along with Oscar, and like there's Russian as well with Alina, and French and Portuguese and Japanese. So yeah, we're all over the world, and we just use the channel from like from time to time each of us to stream. So it's not like my personal channel, it's the Pixologic one. Hey Pranav, what's up? Can you give me some tips on retopology of a shirt color? I'm unable to reach the inner side of the color to draw the topology. If that's the case, like if it's like a traditional shirt color, I would just model it instead of retopologizing it. It's much easier to have the complete control to move the edges and the polygons if you model it from scratch. I would have to see it because it can be like a pretty complicated color and maybe it needs to be retopologized, but if it's like a traditional one, just model it. It's way easier and save yourself some headaches. Retopology is not like magic. It has to be done when the project really needs it. Like, because sometimes it's much easier also to use just ZBrush if you don't need like specific edge loops or face loops somewhere. Maybe even you don't even need like ZBrush. Maybe just like a simple decimation or Dynamesh also works. Yeah, if it's like a traditional shirt color, just model it. It's much easier. You're welcome, man. Oh, cool. I'll check the hosting thing the auto host. Sounds really interesting. Thank you so much, man. By the medium you mean like the material? Because this is a custom mat cap that I made. You have like a bunch of them, but mostly like different types of mat caps that don't necessarily mean or translate to real world materials. But you also have like actual materials, like the basic one. Yeah, for that, like stone and stuff like that, you would do it in render with Keyshot or like V-Ray or other Arnold, other render softwares. Basically, the materials in ZBrush are mostly meant for sculpting, not really for like to give you the feel of a real world material. Oh, okay, I see what you mean. No, no, that's actually a pretty interesting way to look at it. I haven't really thought about that before. It's the same feeling no matter what material you're using, because it's actually not pretty easy to translate. I see what you mean. It would be hard because the thing I'm using for Sculpt is like this tablet here. So even if the software could like emulate the material fill, I think it would be difficult to accurately translate it to your hands. So I don't know. It's actually a good question. I haven't thought of that before. Save again. Also, sometimes like if I've reached like enough resolution for the area that I want to work with, just turning off the sculptures mode and just go with the regular brushes also helps. Um, I work in animation, not visual effects. I work in an animation studio as a surfacing and look dev artist. Like I do the textures and materials. Um, but actually, the industry is pretty similar. Like animation, video games, VFX. It's it's pretty similar, and you have people going back and forth between studios. It's pretty common. Yeah, it's really good. It's really interesting. You meet a lot of interesting people there as well. I really like it. Um, do I think Substance Painter is good for someone who doesn't even know texturing in Photoshop? Or is it okay to work in Substance without even knowing Photoshop texturing? The software itself, yeah, like I don't think you need to know. I would say you don't need to know Photoshop to work in Substance Painter, but I would highly recommend that you do before, because like Photoshop is really easy as a starting program to understand, like for example masks and adjustment layers and um, like the words are escaping me, like masks, adjustment layers, blending modes. That was the other thing, blending modes. Um, because if you understand that, it's gonna be much easier to work with those things in Substance Painter. And also, texturing in Photoshop, um, in a way, makes you more responsible of everything you're making. Because Substance Painter, the thing I really love the program, but I would not recommend that for a beginner in texturing because I think it makes you a bit lazy. There's these things called smart materials and smart masks who like do a lot of stuff from the beginning, and if you don't understand exactly what's happening, um, you kind of have to learn the fundamentals first of texturing to fully appreciate and fully take advantage of the tool. So I would say it's not necessary, but it's highly recommended that you do first. Yeah, that's true. Like that's one of the reasons I really love the software is that you can work in a multi-channel workflow. That's amazing. Like for example, I use Mari all the time at work, and you have to work like every channel separate, and it's really useful to see everything. But
everything we look at is actually
I don't know, like I don't know how
what the DMT experience
knowledgeable you are with things like a non-destructive workflow, like adjustment layers and blending modes and masks, stuff like that. I would just say like if you're starting, I would not recommend jumping to Substance Painter right away. Try something like even like poly paint in ZBrush before or something. Yeah, something like that. I think like the piano is a good example because it teaches you like the basic theory of music, because it's actually really easy to play a piano. Like, well, it's, I know it's not easy, but like you just press a key. That's what I mean. And the technique, it might be like easier for a piano than a guitar, but that's actually a good example. I think that's why the piano is like a fundamental instrument. Oh, cool. Yeah, polypaint is pretty cool to just start with stuff, because it's also like the only thing, it's really difficult to work non-destructively with polypaint. You can do it, just have to be more careful. I'm gonna spend some more time here on the face. Yeah, something like that. Yo, Mike, what's up, dude? Saludos, ¿qué andas haciendo por acá? Qué milagro, man. Hey, Red, thank you so much, man. Yeah, I'm actually really liking how it's coming along.
My friends, is what the DMT experience tells me. That it's all an illusion.
Just doing some folds here in the part of the arm. Pranab. Yeah, thanks. Really appreciate it. In this case, I agree with you. It's just like, you know, so how sometimes you try stuff and it doesn't really work out. In this case, I think it's working out fairly well. Just improvising stuff. Yeah, I have no idea what to do with the back yet. Try keep with the front for a little while. I think I'll make like the skin here a bit droopy instead of making like abs. I was just throwing some strokes and discovered this this look. I think I like it. Just gonna try and go for like droopy skin, droopy folds of skin in there. It's also like this matte cap is really good for contrast. It really shows well the shapes. It was the basic one. This one here, no. Well, this one is really cool. This one's from Furio. But this one, oh wow. This is cool. It's not the one that I was gonna show, but it's nice. This one. It's the one I usually use for hard surface stuff. I like to see, I like how it looks with hard shapes and like corners and angles and stuff like that. And I use this one for organic stuff most of the time. And I also like the basic. I think it's good contrast and shows good like the information of the shapes. Do I think edge flow is overrated? No. I would say sometimes it's even underrated. Obviously, this only applies to things like production models, where the edge flow actually matters for animation and rigging and stuff like that. I would say a lot of people who like to sculpt or who like to model sometimes don't even pay the proper amount of attention to edge flow. It's really important, especially for like from everything from rigging, animation, even like UVs, and it's always so much easier to UV a model with good edge flow. So I wouldn't say it's overrated. I would say sometimes it's even underrated. People should pay more attention to that. That's talking obviously only for like production stuff. If it's a sculpt, who cares? If it's just a sculpture, it doesn't matter. But like a lot of people only do ZBrush, and for production, it's actually really important to know how to model as well. It's a bit wavy here. Right now I'm just increasing the resolution here a little bit to then turn off sculptures mode and then just sculpt. Sometimes that's easier. Now the resolution actually stays like the same. Hey 7jam. I would say it's actually a bit harder to just pick up, but it's one of the easiest programs to work with once you know how to use it. Like if you're learning from scratch, I would say, depending on how much time you spend on it, like from 1 week to like 1 month is the time I think you need to actually put in the work to just learn the program. And after that, it's just with you forever, I think. Like it's one of the easiest programs to work with, but the learning curve, the initial one, it's pretty steep. Mainly because that's like it obviously this changes from person to person. Like it might be really easy for you to just pick this program and play with it, I don't really know, but from my experience, like as a teacher, on average, starting from scratch, it's actually hard for most people. It's a weird program to get your head around at first, but after that, it's pretty easy, pretty useful.
White powder blanket shielding her, her heart beating louder to confirm. Lying on the
Hey,
frozen
Cirino,
lake,
I have no
snowflake
idea what you
covered
just
in
written,
ashes,
but
she was
welcome, man.
ready to let go.
Welcome to the stream.
She was ready to let go. Her heart beating louder. She was ready to let go.
So this part it's actually a bit tricky. I'm having a little bit of a hard time getting the folds the way I want them to, and to not be like super repetitive all the way across them.
The Pentagon is developing a self-aware killer robot that's fueled by social media. Plans to create an autonomous, artificially intelligent weapons system that uses predictive social media analytics to make decisions on using lethal force, understanding memes, analyzing Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, other social media blog posts, websites.
Droopy skin here on the belly.
What could possibly go wrong?
I think I'll go back to the head a little bit. Yeah, when I'm stuck, just need to change environment.
Killer robot.
Something more familiar.
Killer robot. The Pentagon documents confirm that work is underway to develop swarms of self-aware interconnected robots to design and execute killer operations against robot selectors.
shapes part, this is a little bit hard because I don't want the shapes of the face to be like too strong. I want more subtleness here and there. And also, other thing I haven't mentioned yet, it's the alpha stuff. In this case, like, I'm just sculpting everything. I haven't used any alphas or maps or surfaces, surfacing of any kind, because I like to just try and create the shapes myself in this case. I remember when I was younger, I used to think that the alphas were like a godsend for detailing. It was like super easy to create detail. But the more I worked and the more I learned from other artists, it's actually sometimes more of a hindrance. Depends on the project, of course, but like you cannot replicate the work that you do by hand, especially for something that's not actually like an animal or a human. Because of course for those types of projects, you would use alphas and maps to help you with the detailing much easier. But in this case, I like to just do all the shapes myself. Hey Pranab, how much do I prefer Dynamesh for a beginner, or do I prefer Maya base mesh? I don't really like. I know that's the old school approach to sculpting, like create a base mesh, bring it into ZBrush, subdivide it, and then just sculpt on top of it. That's actually really useful still. But the thing I've found with Dynamesh versus using a base mesh is that Dynamesh actually makes you sculpt things. If you're just a beginner and you're still not really good with shapes, volumes, anatomy, stuff like that, maybe using a base mesh is not the best idea, because you're much more restricted by what the base mesh offers you. And yeah, I'm trying to think of a way to explain this. Like if you're not really used to do the shapes yourself, you're going to be really limited by what the base mesh offers, and you're not gonna push the base mesh enough to look like something of your own, you know. But like in this case, obviously I have a base mesh and that I use for all the human characters that I do, and I used to do some sketches beginning of last year with my roommate, and I used that same base mesh for all the human characters. But yeah, when I when I was teaching ZBrush and organic sculpting to people who never touched the software, I've always started with Dynamesh. I think it's really useful for learning how to sculpt, and also learning how the program works. Because like I would always tell them to start from a sphere, and that way everything you actually make, everything you sculpt, has to actually be made by yourself. So in my opinion, it's much better to use Dynamesh for learning. It's really not difficult. It's really simple to do and to use. I hope that answers your question. Yeah, no problem. And also, like, you have to get used to working with base meshes, because let's say, just gonna do a quick, let me save this and do a quick example of what I mean. So like, for example, let's say I have a sphere here and this is the base mesh, or like, no, let's actually go take one base mesh here. Let's take, so I saved, let me be sure that I saved this project. Okay. Let's take, for example, this head, which is the demo head inside of ZBrush, and it's a base mesh. So the thing with this head here is that the topology is made to create the form, and in this case you have different sized polygons. It's not the same, the polygons, for example, here around the eye, these ones here, which are really small, versus these ones here, which are really wide and big. So one thing you have to be careful about when working with base meshes is that, let's say I want to do some surfacing on this guy. So just take a spray stroke and then change the alpha to something like the 0.7, which are some dots. It's gonna work really well. Let's lower the intensity here. It's gonna work really well around this area. Like, I'm gonna have enough definition for it to pop the detail. Let me go back a little bit. Like, for example, at this level, 5 levels of subdivision, just work with this. It's actually somewhat getting the detail, and in the same mesh with the same subdivision level, if I go to some areas like this, for example, it's actually not picking up anything because the polygons are much larger, and I need more resolution, more density for it to pick up the detail. So that is one of the main things you have to be careful of when working with base meshes. And if I were to use just Dynamesh, I go here to geometry, Dynamesh, and for example, let's say I just put like the 256 resolution, and it's going to remesh it. It's going to be exactly the same. Oh wow. Okay. It's actually gonna be the same density and the same resolution for the whole mesh. So in this case, I can also subdivide Dynamesh, and in this case, it works the same here as it does here. So that's also actually another thing that I like about Dynamesh is that it's average, like the resolution across the model is completely average, completely constant. So you get to do this kind of stuff, like the detailing doesn't matter the area of the model you do it, it's gonna work. And with the base mesh, you have to be careful about that. Base meshes are usually, like, for example, for every human character, like either in games or film or VFX. If you want to sculpt like the surfacing yourself, because obviously you can also use just textures and just get UV maps and just do the like the surfacing with textures. So it doesn't matter what the resolution of the mesh you have. But if you want to sculpt the surfacing, it's something to remember. No, don't worry, it's okay. It's okay. I don't mind doing these types of stuff because I feel it's really useful for some people to look at it that way. So it's okay. Don't worry about it. I'm glad it helps. Okay, so I realized that I modeled this thing upside down. So let's fix that. I just turned the floor here. Happens a lot. So just do 180. That's it. Just continue here with the face. And for this one, I have Sculptries turned off for a while, for a bit, to just try and work a bit more on the shapes. I don't need any more resolution for the moment. Trying to think of a way to put the mouth here. But I think I like him without mouth, because it's only giving me trouble to figure that out. Oh, I hate this thing. Hey, Acidrex, thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. I'm very happy you like the sculpt so far. I I'm actually really happy with the result so far. It's not always that I have, because it happens a lot. Like you make something and you're like, I don't know. Sometimes it just clicks. I don't like that song. This is better. What? Oh, I have the, okay. Yeah, for inflate, actually, it's much better to use it without the sculptures, because sometimes with the inflate you only want to just inflate the thing, and if you have the sculptures, actually it also changes the. It also inflates, but it also changes the resolution. If you don't want it to change, don't use it. Yeah. Also, one of the other things that's a bit difficult to work with Sculptris Pro is with Sculptris mode is that you actually need to have the whole model visible for it to work. So let's say, for example, in this case, I have it turned off, so I can just take like one section and work on that section, no problem. But if I want to just like maybe change something, add more detail or whatnot, and turn it on, when I try to sculpt something, it says that the mesh is partially hidden, so it's disabled, and it doesn't let me do that. So that's one of the things to also have in mind, because like even if you're just detailing the area here around the eye, like maybe you have like a super close up and and you want this little fine detail here, you have to have the whole thing visible. Just a note. I just came to show something in the face and I stayed here to detail it some more. But I was actually working on a lower part of it. ¿Qué tranza, dude? ¿Cómo andas? Working on this part here. Thanks, bro. Yeah, it's I started extruding them like to the sides, and then I said, nah, let's put him like folded here and with this weird ass finger here. I'm still not sure if I will add the second finger, but for now I like it the way it is. Is here from the front portion is quite detailed with respect to the back. Yeah, I know it's super imbalanced. I have no idea what to do in the back. That's the honest answer. So I'm just not doing anything for now. Like I hope it comes later. If it doesn't, I'll just rendering from the front. It's okay. Not really worried about that right now. If it were like a production model, of course, I would work like everywhere on the model. But like in this case, I just want to sculpt as it comes, like not trying to think too much. So yeah. But yeah, it's super imbalanced, I agree. Thanks, man. I think it's just like a matter of practice because there's still some stuff that are difficult for me to do, and I think there's always going to be something new for me to learn or something difficult for me to do. I remember like many years ago, I would try to practice like anatomy and do always the same type of muscle structures and like really beefy muscular dudes, and then like someday that like went away by itself, and I started doing something else, and like I don't know, I think it's just it depends on what you're doing, and also like this is like my super comfort zone, so I'm really used to working like this, because I wanted to do something like this today, and there may be other stuff that I really struggle with. I'm sure of it. So yeah. Oh no. Please don't crash. Save again. Okay. Let's go. What was I doing? Ah, yeah, here in the mouth. I'm gonna go back to the silhouette thing. To see what I can improve here. So in this case, I think I want this things to protrude a little bit more, but not too much. there's always one basic tip for hard surface, that is to sculpt and retopologize. Would love to gather some knowledge from you if you have any other tip. It depends. Like, I noticed that all my answers are always like it depends, but it's actually true. It depends on what type of hard surface you're working on. If I like, for example, if it's going to be like mechanical hard surface, modeling from scratch, it's usually or like not mechanical but more traditional hard surface. Like maybe like, let's say for example you're gonna model this mouse here, like or a car, or some pieces of armor, maybe stuff like that. It's always easier to get cleaner hard surface if you model it. Can be with Maya or with Max, even with C Modeler here in ZBrush, Modo, Blender, anything, instead of Sculpt and Retopo. But if you're doing the kind of hard surface that is more like organic hard surface, I would say, then it makes sense to do the sculpt first and then retopologize. Like ZBrush is really good to like, for example, let's say for example I'm gonna make this hard surface, or try to save again. Like ZBrush has some really cool brushes that make you or let you like create some type of hard surface, organic hard surface. Like here for example I could do this and then this here, and then use the pinch and create like a hard edge there. Like I've done that before in ZBrush, like sculpted this type of hard surface. And sometimes you need like more complex shapes to do that, and then you would need to retopologize that for it to work in production. That's actually the workflow that I would use. Or things like, for example, which are really easy in ZBrush to do with like the live booleans, or even like the project primitive new feature. You could use those things to create like a base, which is not always easier to do in a traditional 3D modeling package. That's why it depends. It depends on what you want to do and what you need to do, what you need the model for. Like if it's just for sculpture, maybe just sculpting it, it's better, and you don't need to worry about the topology. But like I said, if it's something more traditional that you would need absolute control on, I would just model it scratch, like poly modeling. I think that's the best way, actually. Yep, no worries. I'm gonna reset the brushes here, because I lost sensitivity. Let me. Sometimes it happens when you save. No. You change projects. No. I lost the sensitivity. Let me restart this. It's also looking the wrong way. Yeah, it's back. I don't know what happens. Sometimes it happens that for some reason you lose the actual sensitivity, and you get like the full pressure of the stroke. What I try to do sometimes is just save, and that usually fixes it. If not, changing projects, and if not, just restarting ZBrush. It's a very minor thing, but it happens sometimes. Sometimes I just like to like paint or make strokes like I was drawing. Just find like the shape and then sculpt that. But in this case, I'm a bit worried because I don't want the front is in a way not really human. I don't want the back to be human. So that's something I have to take care of. Yeah, the sensitivity thing, it's actually, I think it's a bug. I don't know. Usually restarting ZBrush fixes it. If it's not working after that, maybe try unplugging the tablet. I don't know. I'm sorry, man. I can really help you there. Oh, I thought of something. Okay, I'm gonna try and do it and see if it works. Like maybe the arms you have here is like folded, and maybe in the back you can have something similar as well. Actually, let's go here with like the thing and then take this thing here. Something like that. And then just take the mask. Like on top. And what's really cool about this is that whoa, it's like even if I like, for example, with Dynamesh, these things would merge. If I were to use a like Dynamesh, these things would just merge into the same surface. But in this case, with Sculptries, it's not happening like that. I can use the smooth, and they're actually not attaching to the surface. It's they're keeping them separate, so it's really cool. It's a feature or a trick, if you will, that I really like to use. So you can have like a second pair of folded arms here in the back. ¿Qué onda, Isra? Saludos, men. Sí, ahí va quedando. ¿Qué onda, Angus? ¿Cómo andas? Qué chido que andan por acá. Un saludo. ¿Cómo les va? ¿Qué cuentan? Trying to make like a small biceps here to make it actually look like an arm. The back part still needs a lot of work to feel like the front, like as integrated as here. But it's coming there. Just looking around the thing to see some possible errors. Trying to change like the mat cap to help me see different things. Some errors that I might need to correct, or things that aren't really working. I'm liking it so far. Does this creature have stuck arms? Yeah, it's just a sculpture. No, I would never, like for production, I would never sculpt something in this pose. This would be like impossible to retopo correctly, because you have to remember that this is it's the same mesh. So it's actually like if you take a clay ball and sculpt this thing, it's actually not that the arms are folded. It's just like they're sculpted on top of it. So yeah, like for if I were to retopo something, I would use the boring standard T pose or M pose or whatever. But since this is just a sculpture, it doesn't matter. Hey Amilcar, is it hard? I don't understand what you mean. Like, it's not hard to work with Pixologic. They're really cool guys, really approachable, and I don't actually work with them or for them. I'm just like a streamer. Like I'm not part of the staff or anything. But like they're really cool guys, really approachable, and so in this case it was I've been to the summit, to the ZBrush summit twice before, and I met some of the guys, and then I heard they were looking for streamers, Mexican streamers to do some Spanish streams, and so since I already knew them, and so I just wrote them, told them that I was interested, and that was it. I'm really happy. They're always been super helpful and attentive, and they really care about the artists and the community. It's one of the better companies in the world, I would say. Pixologic. How do I see all those tiny details in the anatomy? What do you mean, Vincent? I'm not sure I understand what you mean. This gut. Symmetry got messed up a little bit. Hey, what's up, Jose? How's life? Good, thanks, man. How's life with you? Love the style of this creature. Thank you so much, man. I'm not going to be making it alone, so this is the Pass the Sculpt stream. I'm just working on the first pass of this thing, and then it's going to Óscar for the next code of details or whatever, like next shapes. He's gonna take this, and I don't know, I have no idea what it's gonna do with it, and then it's going back again to me for another round. So it should be fun. I'm actually really interested in seeing how or what it does with this. Plastic? Thank you. Sure. So I actually have two streams. No, it's not gonna be disjointable. It's just a sculpt. It's gonna be like merged into this thing. I'm gonna try and make the back part to look like the front, since the front is like I think I successfully made it look like the arms are on top of it. I'm gonna try and make the same thing here in the back. Muchas gracias, Amilcar. Qué bueno que te esté gustando. Muchas gracias, man. Sí, ahí va, ahí va. Thank you. the worst interface in the world. I don't know about that. I've seen worse. Have you ever used something like XNormal or UV layout? Those things are really, really ugly. Like the softwares, the programs actually are amazing. I use UV layout all the time at work, and I used to use XNormal as well for a lot of things before. Now not so much, because now I'm working on film, and so it's the workflow is a bit different. But when I used to work in games, I used it a lot. Amazing programs, ugliest interfaces in the world. Yeah, it's super ugly. Looks like a Windows 95 game. Like, you remember the pinball game on Windows? That's even better than it's normal. Ooh, shots fired. I'm not gonna comment on that. He just wanted to see how many people you could anger at the same time. Yeah, you mean XNormal? Yeah, it has a 3D viewer. It's horrible, but it does. I know. Actually, I don't know. I actually quite like ZBrush interface. It's pretty endearing, and like I had a custom interface for 4R8. But like these past months have been crazy. I've moved to a new apartment, and there's a lot of stuff going on, and I haven't had the time to just sit down and create a new interface for 2018 with the new buttons and all the new functions. So that's why I have the standard one for now. But like even the standard one, I don't mind. I think it's pretty cool. Obviously the custom ones are much better. Yeah, exactly. I completely agree with it. It's amazing. Yeah, I know. It looks I look like an amateur with this super normie interface. I have my own. It just like since these past few months, all my work has basically been texturing work. Like I haven't sculpted a lot. Mainly just like for fun sometimes, and for very simple things. But like I have a lot of texturing work right now, so I haven't been using ZBrush as much as before. So that's why it doesn't really bother me right now. And other thing is like since when I used to teach, I always wanted my students to learn with the original interface before, and then I taught them how to create their own. because I wanted them to know where everything was before, in case they needed to customize things. Because if I were to give them my personal interface before, and then I don't know, I think that would be like a hindrance to them. They would always need to use that interface, and instead, if I taught them to use the basic one first, I think it's much better. C-Mapper. Ah, no recuerdo ni qué es eso. Also, like, since in these streams I'm mostly sculpting, I'm not doing a lot of like technical stuff, so I don't really need the old interface that much, like my other interface. I hope I was, at least. I really like teaching. I miss it. I don't really miss like the grading and doing all the yeah, like grading homeworks and assignments and stuff. That was pretty tedious. But like the teaching stuff, I really enjoyed it. I really miss it. So I like that the stream is a little bit like that, because I get to talk with you guys and show you my workflow and maybe help you with some questions as much as I can. And it's a very similar and enjoyable process. Thank you so much for your kind words, man. Really mean a lot. Thanks, man. Yeah, you guys are awesome too. It's pretty cool, like having this type of spaces just to hang out and talk about 3D and ZBrush and just hang out and share some tips. It's amazing. So there's still quite a bit of work left to do here. But I'm gonna have to stop right now because it's been 3 hours already, and I also need to get to work. Last save. Yeah, so let's see what Óscar does with this. I'm really curious to see what he comes up with. Okay, guys, thank you so much again for joining me. It was really fun. I really enjoyed it. Gracias a todos los que anduvieron por acá un rato. Siempre es muy cool volver a cotorrear con ustedes un rato. See you guys probably next week. I'm still not sure. I'm going back to Mexico for holiday for a couple of weeks, so in July I will not be streaming for a while. But yeah, see you in some time. Take care, guys. Thank you so much again. Bye, everybody. Cuídense, nos vemos. Bye bye, guys.